Okay, so welcome to our 12th, and I don't want to say final because it's a cycle, but it's the 12th tool. And I'll spend a few minutes at the end talking to you about the next cycle and what we're going to do between this cycle and the next cycle. I also told you last week that tool number 11, influence, is a big one and that we may spend more time on it. Linda just reminded me. If we've got time at the end, we will spend more time on it. But I want to first talk about Goodwill because it's such a great subject, such a great topic. And when you understand it and you can apply it into your everyday life, your everyday work, your relationships, it actually then becomes a tool. I know it's strange to talk about Goodwill as a tool, but when I say tool, what I really mean by that is anything that you can put to practical use. I'm calling it a tool. Okay, so it's a tool. Okay, so I'm going to actually. Can you just give me a thumbs up, Amber? Are you able to turn on your camera? Or if not, if you're with babies, it's okay. Don't worry if it's not appropriate. But can you guys give me the thumbs up if you managed to listen to the videos that I shared with you on Goodwill? It was called Lifestyle. It was actually called Living with Lifestyle. I think was a Jim Rohn video. Did you manage to look at it?
I didn't get to watch it yet.
Because if you didn't, I'm actually going to play it now.
Okay.
Because it's worth it. It's worth it. And I don't really want to, I'd rather get into the interactive part about it with you guys because you've all told me that that's what you really want. So I'm actually going to go straight to it now. I'm going to just dive through all these slides and go straight to the video and I'm going to actually play it. It's not very long, so we do have time to do it. And I'll come back to these then afterwards, okay? So when you listen to this, what I want you to do is have your notebook handy and anything you like, just put down 1 or 2 words to remind you. So it's nice because there's little stories. There's little stories in it that Jim Rohn talks about, how he learned, stories that he heard from people, stories that he got from Earl Schiff, his mentor. And you can just write down a little 2 words to remind you of the story that you liked. Because what I'm going to do with you afterwards is we're going to try to tease out how you can actually use those. In other words, take from that story and apply it and turn it into a practical tool that you can actually use to make your lives better, whether it be your work or your personal situation or your health situation, doesn't matter. Okay, so and he talks about not just about Goodwill is about giving and it's about willing good, but the main message of the video is that when you're actually doing good and willing to do good and willing good on other people, the word goodwill, we can break it up into, the word will means, you know, when you leave a will to somebody, okay, that's called a will. It doesn't just mean I will do something. It means you really want to do something. You're really willing to do something. So when we say goodwill, think about it as I will do good. I really want good for the other person. Think about it that way. And when Jim shares this video on lifestyle, what the main thrust of the video is only about 14 minutes. It's not very long, but the main thrust of it is that you're going to benefit actually more or as much as the person that you are doing good for. Okay, that's the main thrust of the video. And he tells some neat little stories. If you look back on the chat, I actually asked you guys a little question and I asked you to do tiny little exercise about this video. So look back on the chat. The video is there. It's also going to be in the slides I'm going to share with you after this. Whenever I share the slides, the videos are in the slides. Go and watch it and do those little exercises that I'll ask you to do. Okay, so here are some images, and I want you in your notes to, even now, start writing down what does goodwill mean to you. So maybe these images will prompt you, okay, as to what goodwill can mean for you.
Of all the parts of our life we want to work well, perhaps the most important is lifestyle. Mr. Schiff gave me one of his strongest concepts when he said, don't just learn how to earn, learn how to live. And that's what lifestyle is all about. Learning how to live. Here's one of the great challenges of life. Being happy with what you have while in pursuit of what you want. Now consider this. Some people have plenty of beautiful things filling their days, but they get little happiness from them. Some people have money, but they have trouble finding joy in their lives. Imagine a father wads up a $5 bill and throws it at his son, saying, "Here, if you need the darn stuff that bad, take it." Same money, poor style. And remember, it's not the amount that counts. It's the style that counts. Mr. Shoaff taught me lifestyle in those early days, starting with small amounts. He said, imagine that you're getting your shoes shined, and the shoe shine boy has done a fabulous job. You have one of the world's all-time great shines. So you pay him for the shine. Now you consider from the change in your hand what kind of tip to give him. And the question pops into your mind, shall I give him 1 quarter or 2 quarters for my neat shine? Mr. Shoaff said, if 2 amounts for a tip ever come to your mind, always go for the higher amount. He said, become a 2-quarter person. I said, what difference would that make, 1 quarter or 2 quarters? He said, all the difference in the world. If you said, well, I'll just give him 1 quarter, that will affect you for the rest of the day. You will start feeling bad. Sure enough, in the middle of the day, you will look down at your great shoe shine and say, I've got to be cheap. 1 lousy quarter. That will affect you. However, if you go for 2 quarters, Shoaff said you can't believe the feeling you can buy for another quarter. That's lifestyle. Becoming a 2-quarter person and learning to get joy from the greater person you are becoming. A man came up and introduced himself to me after one of my seminars in Detroit, Michigan. And he said, Mr. Rohn, you got to me tonight. I've decided to change my whole life. I said, fantastic. He said, you will hear about it someday. I said, I don't doubt that. Sure enough, a few months later, I was back in Detroit for another lecture. And the same man walked up and said, Mr. Rohn, do you remember me? I said, I do. You are the man who said he was going to change his life. He said, that's me, and I've got to tell you a story. Here's the story he told me. After the last seminar, he said, I started thinking about ways to begin changing my life. And I decided to start with my family. I have 2 lovely teenage daughters, the best kids anyone could ask for. They never give me any trouble. However, I've always given them a hard time, especially as teenagers. One of the things they dearly love to do is to go to rock and roll concerts, to see their favorite performers. Now, I've always given them a hard time on this subject. They would ask to go, and I would say, no, I don't want you to go. The music is too loud. You'll ruin your hearing. And besides, it's the wrong crowd. I would always give them a hard time. Then they would beg, please, Daddy, we want to go. We don't give you any trouble. We're good girls. Please let us go. Well, after they had begged long enough, I would reluctantly throw them the money and say, okay, if you have to go that bad. So that's where I decided to start to make some changes in my life. Then he said, here's what I did. Not long ago, I saw this advertisement that one of my daughter's favorite performers was coming to town. Guess what I did? I went down to the concert hall and bought the tickets myself. Later that day, when I saw my girls, I handed them this envelope and said, daughters of mine, you may not believe this, but inside this envelope are your tickets to the concert that's coming to town. I knew it was one of their favorites. They could not believe it. Then I told them one more thing. I said, begging days are over. Now my girls really couldn't believe it. Finally, I made them promise not to open the envelope till they got to the concert, and they agreed. Now comes concert time. When they arrive, they open the envelope and hand the tickets to the usher. He says, follow me. And he starts down front. They say, wait a minute, something must be wrong. The usher looks at the tickets and says, nothing is wrong, follow me. They walk down front, 10th row, center. Now the girls really cannot believe it. He said, I stayed up a little late that night, And sure enough, around midnight, my daughters came bursting through the front door. One of them lands in my lap, the other one has her arms around my neck, and they both say, "You have got to be one of the world's all-time great fathers." What a neat story. What a great example of how it's possible, with just a change in attitude and a little thought, to live the good life. Same money, different style. Remember, the challenge is to get joy from your life and what you have to share. It's not the amount that counts. It's the uniqueness, the love, and the attitude that counts. Even people of modest means can experience a sophisticated lifestyle. They simply learn to save up some of their Pepsi money for a bottle of fine wine. Don't spend all your money a quarter at a time. Save up and buy something of special value, something fine, or something that lasts, or something you are proud of, or a gift of value to give to someone special. Even with modest means, you can save your candy money for a concert. And for a sophisticated person, a few may be better than many. Better a few treasures than a house full of junk. Lifestyle is a matter of awareness, values, education, and disciplined taste. It is an art that brings joy as it's practiced, not just a subject to be studied. It is the deliberate decision to savor and enjoy all the experiences and possibilities of life. Remember, all good things are upstream. A conscious act from a unique thought. That's where the pleasure is. And the act serves as a bridge between dreams and reality. So develop your lifestyle a little more. Your style of seeing, giving, sharing, enjoying. It's not the amount that counts, but the experience of choosing to live with style. I remember saying to Mr. Schoaf one time, if I had more money, I would be happy. And he gave me some of the better words of wisdom when he said to me, "Mr. Rohn, the key to happiness is not more. Happiness is an art to be studied and practiced." He said, "More money will only make you more of what you already are. More will only more quickly send you on to your destination." He said, if you're inclined to be unhappy, if you get a lot of money, you will be miserable. More money will only make you more. More money will only amplify. If you're inclined to be mean and you get a lot of money, you will be a terror. If you're inclined to drink a little too much, when you get a lot of money, you can now become a drunk because you can drink everything. So style is not more. Style is an art, a genius, a design. Lifestyle is reserved for those who are willing to study and practice the higher arts of life. Lifestyle is culture, music, dance, art, sculpture, literature, plays, concerts. Lifestyle is a taste of the fine, the better, the best. Mortimer Adler, the philosopher, says, if we don't go for the higher tastes, we will settle for the lower ones. So develop an appreciation for the fine. That is a worthy purpose. Developing an appetite for the unique things in life. Study the art and reach for the best. To have the best in the time we have available to us, that is the quest. Remember, it's not the amount, it's the imagination. My lady and I were on a trip to Carmel, California one sunny summer day to do some shopping and exploring. I stopped to have the car serviced at a gas station. This young man, about 18 or 19, I would guess, came bouncing out to the car with a big smile, and he said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yes. A full tank of gas, please." Well, not only did he fill the tank with gas, he checked every tire, washed every window, even the moonroof, checked everything, and all the time he was working, he was whistling and singing. My lady and I couldn't believe all the service and his obvious happiness. The young man brought me the bill, and as I was signing it, I said, "Hey, you really have taken good care of us. I appreciate it." And he said, "I really enjoy working. It's fun for me. I get to meet nice people like you." We couldn't believe this kid was something else. I said, My lady and I are going to Carmel, and we want to drink one of those $2 milkshakes on the way up there. Where is the nearest Baskin-Robbins? He said, that's a great idea. Baskin-Robbins is just a few blocks away. And he told us where to find it. And he said, don't park out front. Park around to the side so your car won't get hit. What a kid. So we drove to Baskin-Robbins, walked in, and checked the flavor board, and ordered milkshakes. However, instead of ordering 2 milkshakes, we ordered 3. Then we drove back to the station. The young kid dashes out to the car again and says, hey, I see you got your milkshakes. I said, yes, and this one is for you. When I offered it to him through the window, he couldn't believe it. He said, for me? I said, sure. With all the fantastic service you gave us, I couldn't leave you out of the milkshake deal. He said, wow, no one has ever bought me a milkshake. I said, that's probably true. Have a nice day. Then I buzzed up the window and we drove away. When I looked in the rearview mirror, there he was, holding that milkshake, a big surprised smile on his face. Now, what did that cost me? Only $2. Hey, I've enjoyed and shared the memory of that experience 100 times. For just $2. Remember, it's not the amount that counts. It's the style.
Okay. So I'm going to hold it there because we're about halfway through. And hopefully, if you like it the way I like it, hopefully you'll continue to listen to the rest of it. Is that okay? Because I want to move on to the practice and the teach, because what we've just heard there in that, whatever, 7 minutes or 8 minutes or 10 minutes that we've listened to so far is actually probably the best tool, if you can master it, for your Herbalife business, overcoming the word that Rodika uses in the trainings is constipation. We have this pathway of 12 steps that I've shared with you at the end of each session so far, and we get stuck at one of those steps along the way, and it's called we get constipated. There's a blockage somewhere and we need to clear it. And what I've been trying to share with you is that it's a really easy thing to clear that blockage if you understand how simple it is, and if you can master what Jim is teaching us here. And I've used a slightly different language to some of you. I say, try to make it fun. Mark Hughes says, make it fun, simple, magical. And the best way to make inviting fun, because inviting is probably the biggest blockage, because inviting pops up in a couple of places. It's not just in step 1. It's also in step 4, and it's also in step 7. Okay. So if you can learn and master the art of inviting, so that you've got 3 or 4 different ways of inviting and you're enjoying all of them, everything is going to be so much easier. Everything is going to flow so much smoother, so that it's actually going to be fun. You're actually going to enjoy it. Okay, so Linda, I'm holding you now. I'm offering you, before everybody came on the call, we were having a little chat because Linda came on nice and early today. And I promised her at the end of that little conversation that I'm going to go out and we're going to do some inviting together to make it fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I've also promised Amber as well, and I'm happy to go with the rest of you guys as well. Okay, so I want you guys to tell me, what did you take from that video, and just write it into the chat. Which story did you really like? Which one-liner did you really like from that video? If you can just share in the chat now, and then we can get interactive. And Amber's baby is going crazy and she can't hear anything, and she'll catch up on the recording. Amber's apologizing. Last week when Amber was on this call, I could see her pushing her pram while she was pram up and down while she was listening. Okay, so Michelle wrote, I love the milkshakes part. Yeah, I also love that. That's the part where I stopped. So what did you like about that, Michelle? You can unmute yourself while the others are writing and tell me, what did you love about that?
I just love the spontaneity and the I'm using the word the innocence of it, but I suppose the simplicity of it.
Yes.
I love that. Such a very simple, easy thing to do, but it's like all things, the things that are easy to do are sometimes easy not to do. And I just thought it was such a thoughtful thing to do. I really, really like that.
Can you see that that is exactly Goodwill? Can you see that what Jim did there for that young man, that young lad, was Goodwill? He received, Jim Rohn received a good service, and he felt obliged to, we get paid for the value we bring into the marketplace, don't we? And when we receive good value, we are the marketplace. Jim was the marketplace, and he received good value for this young guy, washed the car, and he did everything. So Jim really wanted to pay him for that value, and he got creative. And that's the simple part. He got creative, and he did a simple little gesture. It only cost him $2. And then it went round again, because now Jim got more value out of that than the young lad did, in that Jim now has probably made a lot of money on that story. He shared that story with so many people. So that's really a really good example of the unbelievably powerful formula that Mark Hughes gave us: fun and simple. If you can make everything fun, then things become simple. So Michelle used the word simple then. And by the way, when you can keep everything fun and you can keep everything simple at the same time, then the results are going to be magical. So it's not a simple business, and it's not necessarily a fun business. It's up to us to take responsibility, to take ownership. Tool number 2, to value ourselves enough. Tool number 1, to take ownership. Tool number 2, to make it fun, to make it simple. Then the magic happens. That's how it all fits together. That's how these all 12 tools all fit together so nicely. So let's see. Thank you for that, Michelle. So let's see now what Linda wrote, whose name is, no, Michelle, Marie's name is Aaron.
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you. Sorry, it is Linda.
It's my son. I don't know how to change my name.
because Marie's also got a son called Aaron, I think, right? Your younger son is called Aaron, isn't he? Anyway, always go. Okay. Always go for the higher amount. It'll affect you for the rest of the day with the shoe shine boy. Okay, yeah, that's an unbelievably powerful lesson.
Yeah.
2 amounts pop into your head. Always go for the higher amount. That's called living with style. It's big thinking. Okay, that's fantastic. That was one of my all-time favorites. I use that. I use that all the time. Okay, Marie wrote, give the bigger tip to make you feel better. Yeah, that's the reason. So Marie and Linda came up with the exact same one as me. And there's another one later on that Jim comes up with there, and that is the word tip. Okay. And what he says is that when the origin of the word tip is to ensure promptness or to ensure performance. So he says, if you live with style, if you're a person of lifestyle, when you go to the restaurant, when do you give the tip? And Earl Schoaf asked Jim, when do you do it? Earl Schoaf is Jim Rohn's mentor. Jim was a young man, and Earl Schoaf was like, Jim was 25 and Earl Schoaf was 45. Okay, but like
he said afterwards, wasn't it?
Sorry?
He was saying afterwards, but your man said, no, you should give it beforehand, so you're guaranteed good service, isn't it?
Exactly. So you did watch the video, Marie.
I watched it. Do you know what? I was listening to it because I had the kids today. It's usually after Tonight Show that I'd be able to look at the videos. They're only gone out the door since 7:30. My head to be demented. That's the grandchildren. So I was listening in today when they had a nap, and I was trying to get a bit of cleaning done at the same time. So I did. I listened to it. I didn't watch it.
That's exactly right. And you know what? It's good enough to listen. Most of them I listen to without watching, because I listen when I'm walking. And when I'm driving, I cannot watch. So most of them I actually haven't watched. I just listen, and it's good enough. Okay, and now the video, of course, adds a little bit, but it's the original with Jim Rohn was just standing in a room in front of people telling these amazing stories, and he's so good with words. So well done. So exactly what he says is you give the tip at the beginning. Okay. So now I'm just going to go through the slides, and I'll go back a little bit here. And there's a few images here that I like, and I've actually interpreted the images. Okay, so the receiver on the left is slightly challenged. He's got a hole. The hole means there's something wrong. Okay. The giver on the right is offering to help, even though he is even more challenged. He's got lots of holes. Okay, so he's willing to do good for the receiver, or he is willing good. He's willing good for the other guy. Now, we really want to help the other person. When you go Googling the stuff, a lot of you hear, I get these really great little stories about, there's this guy who's got this hobby, and he goes around and you see this really poor guy. He asks him, he says, I'm hungry. Can you, and he finds a really poor guy on the street, and he says, I'm hungry. Can you give me a fiver for some food? And you see this poor homeless guy giving him the fiver. And he's using this to demonstrate really, this is real goodwill. Okay. He then says, you're the first person to have done that for me. And it's very inspiring. I don't know if you've seen them. They go viral on TikTok or YouTube shorts. And he gives the guy a reward of $500 for helping him out. And you see the guy getting all emotional. But that's exactly what this picture is demonstrating. We rise by lifting others. When we're really willing to do good, we find a way. We pull, we push, we lift, we connect people to each other. We connect the giver to the receiver. Okay. Can any of you think of an example in your lives where you might have done something like that? It could have been very recent. It could have been in the club. It could have been a relationship with somebody else, nothing to do with work. Can any of you think of an example that you want to share with us?
Sorry, no, Paul, what do you mean? An example of just helping others?
Well, you've actually helped somebody out in any way, that you've lifted them up, or you've connected with somebody that you think could help them. That's a good one. I mean, you remember, I'll tell you why that's a good one. If you could connect somebody with somebody, you don't necessarily have to help them, but if you can connect them with somebody who can help them. So last week, the tool was influence, and we spoke about the influencer and the influencee. And if you can become a person of influence, and you may not have anything to give, but if you have influence and you can connect the receiver with the giver, and you are strong enough as an influencer that you can influence the giver to give to the receiver. That's what Mark Hughes did in the story from last week when he went collecting fundraising. He went collecting fundraising, and he did fundraising. What does a fundraiser do? A fundraiser goes and connects the giver to the receiver. He goes raising money, and Jim Rohn went knocking on doors, and he went knocking on Ronald Reagan. He got a donation from him. Have any of you got a story where you've done something like that you want to share with us and that you're proud of?
Like I just
Sorry.
today, now, go on, let you talk. Let you go first. Go on.
Okay, so I have a team member that they moved back from Ireland to Spain last year. They're Spanish, the Spanish family, and they moved back to Spain last year, back to Barcelona. And Enrico contacted me about 3 months ago, and he was wondering if I could help him find accommodation for a week for the family, that they wanted to come back to Ireland for a week. And so his teenage daughters could see all their friends again, and, you know, because they'd been gone a year. So I was kind of thinking about it, and I kind of couldn't come up with anyone. And I just said to him, I said, look, why don't you come here? You could stay in our house. There's plenty of room. But I said, if I can, you know, Eamon and I, whatever, like my son is up in my brother's at the moment, and my daughter is gone. She's gone on holidays. Just happens to be this week. And I just said to him, look, why don't you just come here? And I said, if it's possible, we will head up to Gorey. A friend of ours has a house in Gorey, and we can kind of more or less use it whenever we want to, you know. And so that's what we did. We went up to Gorey and we let them come here.
So that's a good example. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, because, like, you know, I mean, if they looked for accommodation for a family of 4 for a week in Ireland, they'd have been probably spending the bones of, I'm assuming, €1,000. So that was €1,000 saved for him.
Fantastic. Marie, give us your story.
I was only just saying there, one of my girls that started coming on Slimming World with me, she's struggling big time, you know, and I do text her, send me pictures of your meals and things like that, like, and she just said, I just can't get my head around it today. So I was after making soup and like chicken fried rice for my main meal today. Like, so I just made extra then and I gave her some just to try and pull her back on things. So I just phoned her. I said, look, come out to the gate because she's a big dog. I won't go in her gate. Like, so she was delighted. So she texted me there. Now she's kind of back. Her head is back in it now again. Like,
Fantastic.
does that make sense?
That's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Okay, you're doing good. You're willing good on her, and
Yeah.
And I just want to give an example that you and Linda have done. When you bring your heart into that club in Muskerry, and you're doing it because you really care about them, because a lot of your hearts are people that you care about. You told me, you know, there are people for who you're doing similar, and you're really trying to help them. This is exactly goodwill. So the best form of inviting is inviting with goodwill, and if you can do it with style, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you give, but it's how you give it. You don't throw it at them. Then that's called lifestyle, and that's called goodwill, and that's what you are doing. That's why we call you the Queen of Hearts. You've got a big heart. It's a perfect example. Linda, when you brought Michelle here, you connected Michelle into, you were the connector. You were the influencer and strong enough. So you like this guy in the middle here. You see this guy here pulling up the other guy? Okay,
Yeah.
and you're putting up the other guy. That other guy, there happened to be Michelle. At that time, Michelle needed it. Okay, Michelle's in a much stronger position now than she was then. And you pulled Michelle up and you connected Michelle to us, for example, this program or the club where you brought into that club. It's a perfect example of you putting goodwill into practice in a very, very positive way. Hope you don't mind me sharing that story, Michelle, but it's just one that came to mind when I was just talking. Do you want to add to that, Linda?
Like, I didn't gain anything by, you know, inviting Michelle to the call. I just felt she needed it at the time.
But afterwards, did you feel good?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you
Because
feel
I
good?
can see.
I mean,
like-
Michelle, as Michelle, have you benefited from this? I mean, this will, you see, when Michelle tells us, Michelle told me that she really liked this, is really helping her, and I'd like you to hear that, because that's your payment. That's that good feeling that Jim Rohn got from the two quarters, and for the milkshake, you know, that made him feel good, better. He was helped better than the person that received. The giver always benefits more than the receiver, always.
But I just have to say, I think Linda should get a crown because she has the patience of a saint.
Now, I keep saying to Linda, and keep doing that, but God helps those who help themselves. And don't forget, and don't be shy. Yes, when you give it unconditionally, unconditional love, by all means, okay? But when it's time to get back, know how to receive, okay? You sometimes you need to learn to receive as well as to be able to give. It's a really important part of personal development. Okay, and that's very much part of self-value, the self-worth that we talk about in the very, very beginning. Value yourself, you know, give yourself the oxygen first, so to be strong enough to give oxygen to the kids in the aeroplane, and so on and so forth. Okay, I like this little picture here. Okay, so here's another situation where the giver is willing to do good, and the receivers are willing to receive good. Here's a picture, and the writing says, kindness is not an act, it's a lifestyle. Lifestyle is living with style. It's not what you give, it's the way that you give it. It's not just about doing good, it's the way that you do good. When you're really willing good for people, for the receiver, it's called lifestyle. There's another picture that I liked. Every act of kindness benefits the giver as well as the receiver, or even more than the receiver. I always say you learn more when you teach than you do when you learn. You receive more when you give than you do when you receive. Okay, I use that formula a lot because I like it. Kindness is a form of good energy. I like this picture. Here's how I understood this picture. The sun is the giver, passes on good energy to the tree, the receiver. When this tree passes on this good energy to everybody around the other trees, his two neighbors, okay, like Michelle gave her home to the neighbor, then that tree will grow and blossom and become even more fruitful because we get paid for the value that we bring into the marketplace. Zig Ziglar said, if you can have anything you want in life, if you just help enough other people to get what they want. And your story, Michelle, reminded me of me being the receiver. We've got a member of our team, Gwen, who lives in Nace. And when I wanted to go and work in Ashlin's club for a few months, I worked in a club every day, full time for a few months. Orly was up there, and she said, does anybody know where my dad can get some accommodation? And Gwen said, he can come stay with me. And she didn't want to take any money for 3 months. And I had to really force her to take some contribution, some I wanted to pay rent, you know. And I think that she benefited as well, you know. I think that she got that back, hopefully. I like this picture, and I've made this picture the icon for this topic, for this tool. I've made it the icon. We live to give. In the spring, we give seed to the soil. So when you give, you can think of whoever you're giving to, the recipient, as soil, okay? The soil then returns this kindness by nourishing the seeds. They then spread and grow, so that in the autumn, we then receive back the fruits of this kindness. So we get paid for the value. It will come back to us. It's called the golden rule. Okay, what goes around comes around. I was listening today to Louis Armstrong sings this amazing song called What a Wonderful World. You know, it's amazing. And you watch his body language when he sings it, this big smile. It's something to do with goodwill. Here's a few words for goodwill. I'm not going to do it on this slide, okay? But here are the opposites. So the synonyms are on the left and the opposites are on the right. So benevolence is being very charitable, and malevolence is being the opposite. Ill will is a good opposite to goodwill. Sometimes we give, but reluctantly. You know, we see a beggar on the street and we throw the money at him. It's better to relate to him and say hello and to make his day by giving him a nice smile and bending down to relate to him than just to throw the money at him. It's not what you give, it's how you give it. That's the video we watched. Here's a few images of what we got from the video. So here's a little image to remind you of to be a 2/4 person for the shoe shine boy, okay? And you cannot believe the good feeling it will give you. I think you guys mentioned that. Here's the origin of the word tip. Okay, so on the left, this is the old way that we give the tip at the end, and it's usually a miserable tip. This guy's worked and worked and worked, and then he gets a miserable tip. And here, he gave the tip at the beginning. So the guy's hovering, giving him the service, okay? Hovering. And there's a great quote. There's a story that you're going to get in the second part of the video, and it's better to live in a tent on the beach and be in love than to live in a mansion all alone, okay? And he'll tell you that story as well. This video here, watch this video on the slides. This is a Herbalife distributor talking about Casa Herbalife. It's just a few minutes long, but she actually says we live to give, and she joined Herbalife because of the Casa Herbalife philosophy, and the Casa Herbalife is the legacy of goodwill, the legacy of generosity that Mark Hughes has left for us. Okay, and we are now involved. We have a partnership here in Ireland with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We don't have a Casa orphanage yet, but we have a charity that whenever we place an order, we have the opportunity to give, and that's the one that we have associated with. Okay, so I want you guys now to think about, and if you can write anything in the chat, how can you apply goodwill? How can you use goodwill to help you with one of your 3 goals? Your health goal, your wealth goal, or your happiness goal. And a good way to think of the happiness goal, think of it as relationship goal. Okay, because the best way to be happy is to have good relationships. Starting with the people closest to you, like that father with his 2 daughters and the concert. Okay. So can you write down in the chat, how can you use goodwill to help you to achieve the goal? You should have already have that goal. You know what your goal is. How can goodwill help you to achieve, or how can you put it into a sentence that I want to get to that? That's my goal, and I'm going to use goodwill to help me to get there. Let's see if you can come up with something. It's not such an easy question, but see if you can.
I'll just talk because it's going to take too long to type.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you know what, Paul? If I had watched that video on Goodwill, I probably wouldn't have felt as bad as I did when things weren't working out for me during the week.
Okay, we don't need to hear the gory details, but
Mhm.
can you help us to understand in what way?
Oh no, do you know, it would have been, I suppose, you know, when I went inviting and I got 10 well, I didn't get clients, I got 10 people. And you know, we give the confirmation text beforehand. And so I had 2 Monday, 2 Tuesday, and 1 Wednesday. And none turned up. Now, 2 did have the, you know, to text me back to let me know, but 3 didn't. So I don't know, I think I just had a bit of a wobbler.
So, okay, let me help you with that. Let me tell you how Goodwill can help you with that. Okay, and I'm hoping this will be useful to you, Marie, and to you, Michelle, as well. When you're giving that information, do you remember the picture that I showed you of the guy with all the kids around him and he's giving them something?
Yeah.
You're the guy in the middle. And you're giving something. The act of giving them that invitation is you've given them that unconditionally.
Yeah.
And whether they come or not doesn't matter. You're not trying to get them. You're not trying to receive anything from them. You're just trying to give them something of value. And you gave. Those 10 people, you gave them something. So you should feel fantastic because you should feel like the 2/4 person because you gave them something valuable. You went out of your way and you gave them an invitation that could have changed their life and may still change their life if one of them comes back to you one day.
Yeah.
Or pass on to somebody else. And if you give enough of those, then one of those seeds, that hand planting the seeds, is going to grow into a flower and it will come back to you. And you need to have that faith. And if you can learn how to actually enjoy that act of giving, so when you give that invitation, you're giving something, you're not trying to get somebody, you don't need them. You don't need them. Yes, I know you do need them if you want to get your house. Okay. But play the game that's, I don't need you. The fact of the matter is they need you much more than you need them. Okay. Somebody out there really needs you, and one of them will respond. And you're going to change their lives completely. Okay. I'm hoping that'll help you next time you go inviting. And when you go with me, I'm going to try to demonstrate that to you, that every person we interact with, we're going to leave a profit. They're going to feel better because we're going to make them feel better. You know, we'll have a little interaction. We're not going to throw it at them. We're not going to throw the invitation at them. Say, here's an invitation. Please come for your wellness evaluation. We're going to actually have a little engagement, make it fun.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how you do it. That's the name of the game. Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
I was just thinking on that there because it's a very hard one to sometimes, you know, prevent, so to speak, that, you know, you get no shows. And I'm just wondering, you know, when you're doing the body scan and you're having the first one and the first wellness evaluation, and there's a question on it about, you know, how serious are you? And if they're not an 8 at least out of 10, then you just turn around and say, look, it's not for you right now. So I'm just wondering, could you incorporate that into the conversation when you're doing the inviting and booking the scan in some form?
Okay, it's a good point. When I go out having fun, I do sometimes do that. I do sometimes do that. I certainly do it. I certainly do it in different. For example, today, let me give you a good story today. Okay, to illustrate, to make this real, and it wasn't today. It was yesterday. Okay, yesterday I went shopping, and I needed a cable for the printer in Ashlynn's club. So that's the first thing. I was going to buy a cable for Ashlynn's computer. That is a Goodwill. I was going out of my way to do something for somebody else. So I felt good automatically. I go into the computer shop and the guy's a nice guy. And he's going to a bit of trouble, a bit like the Shushan boy. So I thought of the Shushan boy. And I said to him, you know, I really appreciate all the trouble you've gone to. He gave me the cable for €5 because there wasn't a box. So I said, normally I ask for a discount, but I can't ask for a discount when you give it to me €5. You've already given me up front. You've given me the discount. I said, you know, you've gone to a lot of trouble and you seem like a really nice guy. Is that true? He says, yeah. I said, great. I said, can you tell me a bit more about these printers? Because I need to buy a printer. And I had a bit more engagement, a bit more fun, and he went to a bit more trouble so that I could then be honestly say, you know, you've gone to all this trouble. I've got a gift for you. Okay. Would you like it? And he said, yes. And I gave him the invitation. Okay. And I said, it's worth €50. I said, it's valid until this date. And I'm kind of new at using these because I only just printed a new batch. It's kind of a new style of invitation I've only just printed. So I'm not really practiced at using them seriously yet. So I made a bit of a mistake. Okay. And in my interest in being kind and helping him, I wrote down, I was focused on it being a gift. It's a voucher. And I wrote down valid to, and I wrote the date that it's valid to. And I gave it till the 15th of September. I said, is that enough time for you to take advantage of this voucher? Now, we know that it's much better to try to get the appointment there and then. And I'd kind of messed it up a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I actually think he might respond. He may not. It doesn't matter because I'll be going into that shop again because I'm working in Ballincollig once a week, and I'll engage with him again. And he really appreciated it, by the way. He really appreciated that I was giving him something of value. But here's the interesting part. I then went into another shop to buy some of these rubber boots for walking in the river, because we go swimming in the river, Alicia and I, and there's lots of rocks. Okay, so these little rubber booties that you get, and anyway, I managed to get them all. And when I go in to pay, the girl had gone to a bit of trouble for me. So same thing, and I won't go through the whole story, but it was really me giving her something because she'd given me something. I gave her back something. And this time, I actually said to her, you know, I only come once a week on a Wednesday. What time do you start work? So I did an ALDT. And I said, I gave her another gift as well, by the way. I'll teach you this, Linda, when you go out. I gave her another gift, and that is something of value. I have lots of value to give people, like personal development. And she really appreciated it. And then I said, I've got something for you. It's not quite as big as that, but I said, it's worth €50. And it's a free wellness evaluation. We've just opened up this club around the corner. What time do you start work in the morning? She says, I start at 9 o'clock. I said, great. I said, we open our club at 8. I'm going to be there next Wednesday. Are you able to come at 8 o'clock next Wednesday? And she said, yes. So I made the appointment. And by the way, that, as it happens, is probably not going to be for me because I'm busy working with somebody else. Okay. But it was nice. It was a nice interaction. So there was an example where I don't feel like I don't care if she shows up or not, Linda. I really don't. I really don't care. I do care, but I wouldn't have lost if she doesn't show up. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, this girl, her name's Christine, she is really, really going to benefit from this wellness evaluation. And if she joins as a member, she's really, really going to benefit. She needs it. Okay. I can see that. So I feel good. I feel I've given her opportunities. I feel fantastic. Now, if she decides not to come, or she's too busy to come, or something happens not to come, that's not my problem. That's her problem. I'm not going to feel bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, do you know what, Paul? Even though I went out and I done the whole thing, the one lady that did turn up, I actually had to send her away because even though I need people to start coming into the club, I actually couldn't. She was only a 3. She, you know, when you ask them, you know, how ready are you to make these changes? She said, to be honest, I'm only a 3. Her headspace wasn't in it at all. She had a lot of personal tragedies in a year, like both siblings belonged to her, died with only a month apart, and she just wasn't ready. So I actually said, look, come back to me when you're ready. I said, you're not ready. And, you know, I felt happy doing that.
Yeah, you're probably the right thing. But what you can say, leave the door open. Say, look, I know that you're really, really going to benefit from this, but now is not the right time for you. Yeah. I know that you're really, really, you're going to benefit from this. You know, this is going to be amazing. It's going to help you to come. You can be positive. It's going to help you with all that you've been through. Our club is not just about nutrition. It's going to be fantastic for you, but now is not yet the right time for you. Let's be in touch. you know, in a month's time or 2 months' time, would you mind if I can contact you just to see how you're getting on? In a month's
Yeah.
time, would that be okay? And by the way, it's just to see how you're getting on, and who knows, you know. And she'll say yes. Say, you know, I'll be. Let's keep in touch because we've got to know each other. I like you. I'd love to be able to help you. It may not be the right time for you to join our club, but let's stay in touch. Now you left the door open. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? It often
Yeah.
happens to me that I can move somebody from a 7 to a 10 in the conversation. That whole wellness evaluation is designed to take a latent pain, which might be a 3 out of 10. Okay, because a lot of people are happily plump. What does it mean they're happily plump? They're not happy. They're unhappy about being plump, but they have buried it deep down. It's latent. It's the back of the head. So if you're good and the wellness evaluation helps you to bring it from a latent pain, boom, to the front. Okay, now it's a real pain. Okay, and the real pain is a 10 out of 10 pain. So how often in the wellness evaluation can move from a 6 to a 10 if you ask enough questions. For example, when you ask them food diary, okay, you can ask them, what's your favorite chocolate? Do you like sweet? And she says this. And then you say, and what's your favorite wine? And she says that. And then you say, and how many units do you have? And she says that. And say, how much does a glass of wine cost? And she says this. And how much do you think you spend on those takeaways that you have 3 times a week? And she tells you that. And I'm busy totting it all up. And I said, the good news is that when you join our club, you're going to save yourself about 160 euros a month. And you're going to lose all of that weight that you told me you'd love to lose. Because often the 3 out of 10 is not that they don't want it. It's that they think they can't do it or they think they can't afford it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I had a couple. I had a mother and daughter came in as well for evaluations now, and like that she was after writing down 6, and I said, you know, like we normally send people away if you're not, you know, if you don't sign up for between an 8 and a 10. And going through that now, like she liked her drink and she was drinking cans of cider. And I said, how often? And she said, oh, every night, like. And I said, look, you're only wasting your time and my time and you're wasting your own money. I said, if you're not going to be willing to change. And she said, I really am. I really, really, look, can I change that 6 up to a 9 or a 10? I said, well, I really want to hear 10 plus now, like. So she said, right, all right, so put down 12. So, like, and herself and her daughter joined, and she didn't have a drink since she joined. They're due their 10 days now on Saturday, their first 10-day body scan, and they're absolutely loving it, the 2 of them.
So there we
You
go.
know,
That story.
I think I'm nearly opening an AA meeting up there. That's my 3rd person that came in that's really fond of the drink. They have like completely, they just haven't drunk at all, like.
This is a super powerful story because this story now is a practical, fresh example of what I was trying to say. I was talking more from my experience of maybe 10 years ago when I had people coming along and I was doing a serious wellness evaluation and I was going and doing it before clubs. Now, Marisha's given us a practical example of this very recently in her club. Don't throw them out because they don't give you 8 out of 10. Understand that if they give you a 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10, it's not necessarily because they're not serious about the pain. The pain is just they're hiding it. They're in denial. They are in denial. That's what it is. 9 times out of 10. They've tried so many times. They don't believe it can work. And you just need to ask a few more questions. And that's what you're doing when you're doing the wellness evaluation. You're trying to take the latent pain and bring it to the front and make it a real pain. Okay, so the time now is 9 o'clock. I promised you guys that I was going to finish on time. Here are mine. They're going to be in the slides. Here's how I use Goodwill to take my health goal. Okay, and I don't have time to go through all these guys now because we chose, I think correctly, to make it interactive. But you still have this content. It's good, especially if you've watched the videos. It's really good if you watch the videos. You can work through it in your own time. Okay. The biggest constipation is inviting, guys. It's the biggest constipation. If you can get good at inviting, okay, it applies everywhere. Okay, it applies here, here, and here. Evaluating, you also, everything is an invitation, by the way, okay? And you're helping them to decide, and then you're doing the follow-up to looking at the results, and you're always ALDing, you're always asking questions, you're always inviting them to take the next step, always, okay? So where does Goodwill come in? It actually comes in at every single step on the pathway, just like influence, okay? if you can make this part, you're going to enjoy it. It'll make it fun. If you can, every time you're with somebody, think of helping them. And don't forget that they want to pay you, let them pay you. Okay, get paid for the value you bring into the marketplace. And on that very happy note, we have now completed a full season, a full cycle of 12 tools over 12 weeks. We are going to take next week, we're going to take a 1-week break for lots of reasons. First of all, I want you guys to try to just take a breather from it. Try to apply. Try to take one thing that you've got out of this whole last couple of sessions and see if you can start using it. If you need me to help you with it, I'll help you. Okay, I've started to do that. I'm going around visiting all the clubs, okay, on a monthly basis. So I want to visit you. I want to come and visit you guys in Glenmire. And then afterwards, Linda, pin me down. We'll go out inviting to have some fun. Marie, if you'd like me to go out inviting with you to have some fun, you're welcome to. And you as well, Michelle.
I haven't done any inviting yet, but
No, that's not true. When I say inviting, here's what I mean. Try to have 5 different methods of inviting. We've got about 10 inviting tools. The best inviting tool of all is what you're already doing, Marie. You are inviting. That's
yeah,
why-
I know I haven't actually went out around supermarkets and stuff. But look, wherever I go, I'm promoting it anyway.
That's
Like you
inviting.
there now, when I went in to get my glasses, sure, and I had the optician up for an evaluation.
So there we go. So please don't say you're not
Yeah.
inviting.
Well done,
okay?
Marie.
Yeah.
So don't think of inviting as, by the way, I got the optician in the Glenmire Club, okay, and she's still a customer of mine. She's downstairs. Do you know her, Linda?
Yeah,
The South African girl.
yeah.
I just can't think of her name right now, but she's great, okay, and her mother and all this. But anyway, the point is this: when we say inviting, we don't mean going out inviting. What we mean is getting people in for wellness, inviting people for wellness evaluation, whatever which way you can. Now, in the clubs, the best method of all is referrals. It's the best. Okay, it is the best. But you want to do at least 5 different methods all the time. Okay, we've got 10 methods. Choose 5. I'll help you to choose the top 5 that you really, really like. And then you make it your business to keep doing that all the time. Okay. Michelle happens to be a good inviter, I think. I'm pretty sure she is, because Michelle has been doing around Herbalife for quite a while. I don't think it's a big issue for Michelle. I would have liked to have actually got a bit more out of you, Michelle, but we're really short of time. But Linda and I want to help you because I know it's an issue for you. Okay, I want to help you to conquer that. And I'll make that a mission over the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'll help you. Now it's also Alicia's. I'm not allowed to say this, but it's Alicia's birthday next Thursday night. Okay, that's the second reason why I don't want to.
Oh, we're having a break.
Yeah. So I have to be honest. And then a week after that, we'll make a schedule. I'm doing a lot of traveling the next couple of months because there's a lot going on. There's a Birmingham event. There's Barcelona. We're going to Israel, and we're also going to South Africa in November. So we need to make a schedule for the next 12 sessions. So the week after next, we're gonna continue, and I'll give you the schedule of exactly when we're going to do each week, so you'll be able to plan around it. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. Hope that you got some value. If you just want to, each of you can just say one last sentence for the close of this chapter. That'll be great. And I think I actually didn't. I think I'm not recording. This whole thing didn't get recorded. Is that possible?
No, it's recording.
It's recording, yeah.
It's recording. You're all good.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you, and it was actually sorry for not getting on. I don't know what was going on with my phone, and my laptop literally blew up the other day. So I may need a whole new computer. But anyway, looking forward to getting started the week after next. And Linda, I'll see you in the morning.
Yes, you will.
So Paul, thanks again. Thanks for the prompt again last week. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So have a great evening. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
You too. See you later.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.